to the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel. It's Erica with you today, and you might have seen this post that I made with lots and lots and lots of the boxes, the Capture Your Heart or Capture My Heart boxes. The fabulous thing about this is that you only need one sheet of paper to get all the bits cut out, but you do end up with some leftovers. So, I mean, it's very colorful and very pretty, so I thought I'll show you just a couple of things that you can do with these fabulous and fun and colorful scraps. So the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to get a little trimmer or a paper trimmer of any kind, really. And then we are going to cut slim-ish strips of this. So I'm in Europe, so I use centimeters. So it's going to be about a centimeter wide, which I think is like, I want to say maybe like not quite a cool half an inch. It's slightly less, but anyway, you cut strips and you try to keep them as uniform as possible. So whether you want like super skinny ones, or if you want wider or whatever, that is obviously completely up to you. Some people like lots of skinny ones. Some prefer kind of more like thicker ones, so it's more kind of like in a color blocking way. But for this card, we are going to do about a centimeter wide strips, and I'm going to do all of these colors, and then we're going to see what we can actually end up with. So with this kind of technique, there's a couple of things that you can do, but I like using thin-ish paper unless I'm doing it directly onto a card base. And the reason for this is so that you get cleaner cut lines when you use your die cuts on top. So because we're going to use some die cuts on top of this, we're going to actually cut out some shapes. So here I'm using simple, this is like printer paper, really cheap printer paper. Don't use any fancy paper. Save that for like your other projects. And I'm adding double-sided tape to quite a large area of this. I'm trying to keep it kind of as wide as the strips are, because they're about the same. They're actually, I think, exactly the same length, because the cardstock is obviously the same when you're cutting them out. And you know, I'm yapping now, but so we're going to trim this down a little bit, actually, because that extra piece was just kind of in the way. And then the reason for this as well is we're going to use our grid lines to start in the middle. And the reason for this is if you start at the bottom and you have uneven pieces, you are much more likely to kind of get like a bend, almost like a rainbow bend in your layering. So if you start in the middle and work your way up and then work your way down, you're much more likely to kind of get a much more uniform and even strips. So we are going to go up and down with these, and we're going to cover this entire thing. At this point in the game, I wasn't really quite sure what I was going to do, but I really like this technique. This is a great way of using up your scraps, and I really don't like any craft waste. So I try to use as much as I can, and even like the teeny tiny pieces, I save them for like, you know, if I need to cut out like little baubles or hearts or something like that, make confetti for cards, or, you know, whatever. So I try to keep all of my scrap bits. So here we're actually going to take the affluent heart. So that this comes with a hot foil plate as well, or hot foil pieces. And then these are the coordinating die cuts to then cut those hot foiled pieces out. But I thought, you know what, we're just gonna cut out the shapes. Yeah, we're just gonna do it. And it did take a little bit of puzzling here to get the most out of the sort of the background, I guess you could say. Now, if you know that you're going to do this, you could always kind of measure out around the shape that you want to use, and then you can do like smaller pieces instead. That's another way of doing it as well. And another way that probably will save you a lot of extra scraps or more scraps. So we're going to cut all of these out. And then I thought, oh, okay, well, I mean, I am a rainbow-loving gal at heart, so I am going to probably use the big one. But then I thought, oh, you know, we have hot foil bits with us, so why not add a little bit of foil just for fun and for the sparkle and the shimmer. I do like that. So here, again, I was just kind of like, which one do I use? Which one am I going to use? So I was kind of playing around with some of these to see which one am I going to do and which one am I going to use, which combination looks great. And I really actually kind of like all three of these, but I thought I'm going to save you having to watch me make all of these cards. So I settled on using this big one, and then I cut out another 2 pieces of this heart to kind of make it really, really stable. And here, some of these pieces I've also used more scrap pieces. So some of these haven't made it onto a card for whatever other reason, or I've die cut another shape out or something. So as I said, I save everything. Yes, but so with my heart, or so all settled and ready to go, it was time to make a card base. And you can see on the back of this one as well, the card base had a little bit of like ink blending on it, but I didn't end up using that for whatever reason. My idea just did not pan out. So I'm going to use that today. So I just needed a little something to kind of make the background not quite so like boring and plain, but I wanted it to be white still so that the colors of the heart really stood out. So with my scoreboard, I have just made some patterns. I want to say horizontally, not vertically. Yes, horizontally, so that it just gives that little bit of interest. And because of the way that the ink blending was kind of kept in the middle of the card base, it's not going to show at all. So there's another way of using up like your scraps or projects that didn't work out. So we are going to make it all work today. So we have a recycled or upcycled card base. We have a piece of cardstock that was probably like the back of a card base that didn't work out. I have also laid up my heart with extra pieces of cardstock that was either a card front at one point, or a project, or an experiment that didn't work out. And then we have our colorful card strips on our heart to make it all it's almost like not upcycling or recycling, but yeah, just making the most of your scraps. So yeah. Oh, here you can see. So this is the back of one of the pieces that I used. So that was a card, and I just didn't end up liking it. So I ripped all the pieces off, but I kept the paper because you never know. And here it came in super handy. So we're going to add some sparkle, of course, because even with the whole foiling, it wasn't enough. So these are the gorgeous magic crystals. So they are super, super pretty. Very kind of almost like a pastel-y shimmer to them. So I just wanted something that shimmers a little bit kind of like iridescent to not take away too much from the colorful heart on the front of the card. But yeah, so the only really new things is the crystals actually. Everything else is upcycled or recycled. So there you have it. I really hope you've enjoyed this, and I will see you next week. Bye!